Hello everyone, and welcome to the second video of the Weekend Your Way video resources. Today we're going to be talking about our cutting techniques. We'll talk about how to set up your cutting board, how to slice and dice an onion, how to medium dice, small dice, brunoise, and fine brunoise, how to slice a baton, batonnet, julienne, and fine julienne, as well as how to segment an orange. First things first, we need to make sure that we set up our cutting board so that you and everyone around you in the kitchen is safe. First, always make sure the sharp part of your knives are always facing the cutting board when they're not in use. And secondly, always have a grip mat or a wet piece of paper towel or towel underneath your cutting board to make sure that it doesn't slip. I will now show you how to dice an onion in two different ways. The onion has two notable parts, the root, as you can see here, and the shoot. When slicing or dicing an onion, you always cut the onion in half through both the root and the shoot. The root is the part of the onion that keeps all the layers connected, so try to cut your onion evenly. Then peel. Place the onion cut side down with your hand flat on top to protect your fingers. Cut through the onion horizontally, but not all the way through the root. The more slices you make, the smaller your dice will be. As you will see on your onion, there are natural lines telling you where you will need to cut. Starting on one side, begin slicing the onion along the natural lines across the whole onion. The closer your slices are to each other, the smaller your dice will be. Make sure not to cut through the root though, as this will keep your onion intact until you're ready to finish the dice. Once all of your slices are complete, rotate the onion 90 degrees and start slicing again. This will cut your perfect dice. Repeat until all of the onion has been diced. Once you have just the root left, chop it up into smaller chunks to get your finished dice. Next, we'll talk about a different way to dice an onion. First, take half of your peeled onion and remove the ends. Cut it in half so each piece has two flat sides. Keeping the root intact, cut straight down similar to the first method. The more slices you make, the smaller your dice will be. Then, turn the onion onto the second flat side and repeat. Once you're finished, rotate the onion 90 degrees and cut straight down again for your dice. This method can sometimes be a little easier, but more time-consuming if you have to cut lots of onions. Next, we'll talk about how to slice an onion, which is also called a lyonnaise cut. Starting with a peeled half of an onion, remove the root and the shoot again. I'm using a red onion this time. Following the natural lines, you'll slice straight down into the onion. Don't worry about keeping the root intact this time. We want the slices to be detached from the rest of the onion. Separate the slices with your fingers and you'll have a beautifully sliced onion. For the next few segments, we will need washed and peeled carrots. Let me show you a quick way to do this. Most people peel their carrots straight down, but most wide peelers such as this one have a double blade, which means you can peel up and down while rotating the vegetable, making the peeling process go a little faster. For the rest of the cuts in this video, we need sections of carrot that are 2 inches long. I like to make little notches in the carrot so it's easier to visualize the 2-inch cuts. You can use a ruler to measure, but with practice, you'll be able to do it by eye. Once we have our section of carrot that is 2 inches long, we will square off one side. If you're worried about not getting a straight cut, line up your vegetable with the end of your cutting board. This makes it a little easier to visualize. Repeat with the remaining 3 sides until you have a rectangle-sized piece. It doesn't have to be perfect, but this will set you up to do any of the following cuts. First, we'll do batonnet and small dice. A batonnet is 2 inches long and a 1/4 inch square wide. When you first start practicing, having a ruler on hand is very helpful to visualize how big your pieces have to be. My ruler is by Canada Cutlery and has small cutouts to let you know what this cut should look like. If it helps, place your ruler on top of your vegetable and cut a little notch to let you know how thick your slices should be. With your fingers folded to protect you from the knife, cut straight down to create what I call planks. Repeat until you've cut through the entire vegetable. Once your planks are done, begin to cut 1/4 inch pieces from the end of your planks. This will create your batonnets. Then, to create your small dice, cut the batonnet again into 1/4 inch cubes. Ta-da! Next, we will do Julienne and Brunoise. This is the exact same process as the batonnet and small dice, but instead of being 1/4 inch squares, we will cut them into 1/8 inch squares. Begin with squaring off your carrot. Make sure to keep your scraps for stocks or soups. This is still a perfectly good vegetable. There's no need to waste it. Once your carrot is squared off, begin to cut your planks. Use the edge of the cutting board to help you cut in a straight line if you need it. Once your planks are complete, begin cutting your julienne strips. Remember, these are 1/8 of an inch instead of 1/4 of an inch. Use your ruler if you need to. Once your julienne is complete, you can then cut your brunoise. Next, we will do your fine julienne and fine brunoise. This is the exact same process as before, but instead of 1/8 of an inch, you will do 1/16 of an inch. Here you'll see me cutting my planks from my already squared off carrot, and from the planks, we will begin to cut the fine julienne. 1/16 of an inch is very small, sometimes doesn't even show up on your ruler, so try and do it as fine as possible. Same as before, once you have your fine julienne, you'll go ahead, place it back on your cutting board, and cut your fine brunoise. This is a very small and refined cut. Looks very nice in some soups. Now we'll go in the opposite direction and cut our baton in medium dice. I will be using a potato for this one. Your baton is 2 inches long and 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch wide, and your medium dice is a 1/2 inch square. After you peel your potato, you may see these small brown spots called eyes. Most vegetable peelers have this little nub to help you remove the eyes. Pretend you're scooping the world's smallest scoop of ice cream, and that will help you remove these little brown spots. They normally happen when you have an older potato, but they are not harmful for you to eat. Now that we have a beautifully peeled potato, we'll follow the same process as the cuts before. Square off your potato. I like to use the wider side to make the plank cutting process a little easier. Once your potato is roughly rectangle shaped, using your ruler if needed, begin to cut your planks 1/2 an inch wide. Repeat until you have completed all of your planks. Trim the edges of your planks to create a clean rectangle, approximately 2 inches long. Line up your potato with the edge of your cutting board and begin to cut your batons. When you're finished cutting your potatoes, put them in some water so they don't start to brown. For the medium dice, I'm going to take one of the smaller planks that wasn't quite 2 inches long and square off the sides. Since we're cutting the potato into squares, our strips do not need to be as long as the batons. Once your dice is complete, place it in the water with the batons. This shape of potato is great for French fries or hash browns. Make sure to save your potato scraps for soups or fry them up by themselves. To review, we have now learned how to slice an onion in the Lyonnaise style. We've learned how to dice an onion in 2 different ways. We covered our baton and medium dice, batonnet and small dice, julienne and brunoise, and fine julienne and fine brunoise. These are considered regular cuts, and now we will cover one of the irregular cuts, how to segment an orange. To begin the process of segmenting an orange, you will need your smaller paring knife and a bowl. First, cut off the top and bottom of the orange and place the orange on one of its flat sides. Placing your knife on an angle, cut around the curve of the orange. We are trying to remove the peel and the pith. The pith is the bitter white part that sits under the peel. Work your way around the orange and then turn it upside down to see where you have missed. Remove as much of the pith as possible without wasting the pulp of the orange. Once the pith is removed, using your knife, slowly cut along the thin white lines towards the center. Do not use too much pressure so you don't cut all the way through to your hand. Once you have cut to the middle, repeat on the other side of the segment. For the first one, you may have to repeat this process a few times. Once you have cut to the center, angle your knife to remove the segment from the rest of your orange, and place the segment in the bowl. Repeat this process until you have removed all of the segments and are just left with the core. The goal is to only have the pulp of the orange, no pith, connective fibers, or core. Once you are finished, squeeze the rest of the juice out of the core and enjoy.